and welcome to the Lobcast podcast, Mixers of Marketing. I'm Stephanie Donaldson, your hostess with the Marketing Mostess, and I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager here at Lob. I'm thrilled to be joined again with my Senior Director of Content, Kim Courvoisier. Welcome, Kim.
Hi. My hand just appeared there out of the... Nice.
Thanks for being on the show. I know how excited you are to talk about industry research and the key findings, but do you mind giving our listeners some background information on the 2023 State of Direct Mail report first?
Yeah, absolutely. For Lob's annual State of Direct Mail, we partnered with Compare Media to understand how enterprise marketers use direct mail to drive growth, how they measure its impact, how marketing budgets are changing, and what the future holds for the channel. We also looked at the differences between the responses between those who automate direct mail and those who don't.
Awesome. Well, thank you for setting the stage as we talk about the key findings today. But first, let's tell our listeners about the cocktail pairing for today's episode, Spritzers. So to make this at home, you'll need only 3 ingredients. You'll need white wine, club soda, and a lemon. So you'll pour 3/4 cup of your white wine of choice. I'm going with a Vino Verde here as it already has a little bit of effervescence to it. And then you'll top it with a 1/4 cup of club soda and then drop in a lemon rind for garnish if you wish. So cheers and welcome to the show, Kim.
Cheers. I love Vino Verde. Good choice.
It was a good choice. It was one that we drank a lot in Portugal, so very excited.
Yeah, it's like a little summery in the middle of winter here.
I've still got like 7 inches of snow outside my house, so.
You brought summer in your glass.
I did. All right, so we've made our drinks and now it's on to the main course of today's episode. So kicking us off, let's talk about a very cool statistic related to marketing ROI. The 2023 State of Direct Mail report found that 74% of marketers agree that direct mail delivers the best ROI, response rate, and conversion rate than all of the channels used. Kim, that stat has increased from 2022, right?
It has. In 2022, 67% of marketers agreed that direct mail delivered the highest ROI. So that 74% stat, actually, we see a 7% increase year over year, which is super exciting if you're in the direct mail industry like we are.
That is super exciting. Like, honestly, being a social media manager, I would love to see 7% engagement rate across all of our channels or 7% increase in followers month after month.
Right? We'll take it.
Oh, go ahead.
I said, we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll definitely take that. I was also going to say, it's really interesting not only to see that stat just applies to everyone in the survey, but then it was really cool to see how direct mail performs in certain industries. Because our report showed that 84% of marketers in financial services and banking report that direct mail shows the best ROI of all the channels their company uses, and 87% in the e-commerce segment agreed that direct mail shows the best ROI of all the channels their company uses. Kim, do you think those industries are naturally a good fit for direct mail marketing? Or do you think those marketers have just found the golden ticket when creating direct mail?
I love this question. And I'm going to give you such a marketing response to say, Stephanie, it depends. And I'll unpack that a little bit. So ROI is influenced by so many factors. And what we see in financial services and banking is also a high adoption rate of technology and automation, which can be very influential, right, in increasing those key performance indicators. And as you'd expect, e-commerce by its very nature is digital first. So it's well positioned for omnichannel marketing. The report showed that only 7% of marketers are using direct mail as a standalone tactic, and 72% are using it alongside email marketing, which you and I have talked about a ton on this podcast, how email marketing and direct mail are besties, right? They go together so well and really complement each other. So we're really seeing this convergence of the digital and the physical, spawning a new term, which is one of my favorites, digital.
Now you are all over that term. You love it when I share that on LinkedIn.
I did. I was like, oh.
But I think that's a very interesting, idea, because I think when we as marketers look at our customers and consumer behavior, it really does change based on technology and what we have available at the time. Because as a kid, I remember Saturday morning, get up, we're doing our errands, we're going to go get our groceries, and then we're going to go to the mall, and hated going to the mall because my mom had to try on every single pair of shoes possible. And then my dad took forever picking out his t-shirts. Whereas now my parents can go on Amazon and have that sent right to their home. So Saturday errands don't exist in my family anymore. And it's just a very weird thing because now, and I also think the pandemic kind of had an impact on it too, because yes, we were all stuck at home, we were all shopping online. And then as soon as you could go back out into the real world, people went back to the stores because they just wanted to get out of their houses. So
Yeah,
have to meet the needs of those different types of consumers, those who do want the physical store or physical marketing pieces, as well as the digital channels.
absolutely.
So,
Everyone thrives and needs that connectedness and that connections that are real and physical, right?
yep. And like all of our channels, at the end of the day, it's all about getting our consumers to take action, right? But what about from the marketer's perspective? Let's talk a little bit about how marketers are measuring direct mail ROI. So our 2023 State of Direct Mail report found that the top 5 methods included 46% for citing individual customer activity within a specific time period, 41% citing the use of a QR code, 37% citing a personalized URL, 36% citing orders for featured products or services, and 34% citing the use of a coupon code. So Kim, did any of those methods surprise you in where they fall in that lineup?
Well, interestingly enough, the use of personalized URLs, or what we call pearls, decreased from 48% in 2022. And we talked a lot, again, in our recent podcast about the use of, and I pointed last time the wrong way, of QR codes like this one here, right? And the data shows that they're still going strong. In fact, I've been on calls where people like will pull out their phones and be like, hey, let me get that right now, which is exactly why we have it here, right?
Yeah.
And I predict that we'll see more companies testing out one-to-one QR codes versus how QR codes are being used now, which is more of a kind of generic, more mass type of a QR code. And Lab's actually rolling out that functionality this year. So right there, right in time.
Definitely. And I think that actually makes a really good point. Also, again, going back to how technology changes, marketing used to kind of be that spray and pray marketing. You sent out a generic message to everyone. And then as segmentation got better, okay, I can narrow my messaging down to consumers who bought in the last 3 months, or I can message consumers who haven't engaged with us in 6. And so even just rolling out the one-to-one QR codes, we're getting a lot more segmented with our targeting. We're getting a lot more segmented with our ability to attribute results from that consumer from this specific campaign.
Exactly. And just think about how you could customize offers with that, right?
Right.
So
All
super
right.
powerful.
Personal opinion time. You personally, what drives you to take action on something? Scanning a QR code, visiting a personalized landing page, typing in a coupon code at checkout?
Yeah, so like many people, we've talked about this a bunch too. I love a deal, and I'm a big user of the Honey plugin when I'm shopping online. And it automatically looks for coupon codes before I check out. Like I don't even have to think about it. I know to hunt around for it. So that's super powerful. And I admit I have been scanning QR codes more and more these days as a quick way of getting to that offer or getting to that page without having to type something in or go to anything. And I think I'm just more aware of it because I'm in the industry, but I'm also seeing QR codes everywhere in every piece of mail I get. I'm seeing it on billboards now. So I just think this proliferation of QR codes is almost a forcing function to use them more. We'll see what the adoption rate from end user kind of consumer standpoint looks like, because that's still lagging.
Yeah, I mean, that makes me think, we are used to seeing QR codes. Again, in your own opinion, if you were to scan a QR code on a piece of mail and it takes you to, an online store, are you actually going to finish your shopping experience there, or are you going to look and then go on to like a desktop or a laptop? Just curious.
It depends, right? So if it's something I've already, like if they're retargeting me possibly, I might be more apt because I've already kind of done that research mode. So if
That's
it's
fair.
something maybe I've been looking at, I'm trying to think of an example right now. There's a lot of things. It might be something I've been shopping for recently, right? And then all of a sudden it comes up and there we go. And I'm on the page and I'm like, all right, fine. So I think in there I'd have a greater propensity to go ahead and convert at that point versus going and maybe, coming back again.
I just think it's a
How
really
about you?
conversation. Because
Yeah.
like I don't like completing purchases on my phone unless it's in like the Amazon app. Like otherwise I need to go, I want to look at it, I want to see it big and beautiful on my computer. Because actually I just got a retargeting ad from a makeup brand that I was poking around looking at but I need to see their shade selections in a nice big picture. I can't be zooming in on my phone and being like, yep, that looks right. Like, you know how quickly that can go wrong.
Do you shop much from like Instagram?
Actually, the last episode, Summer and I were talking about that. And, we were just talking about how easy people find it just to scroll past ads. One did catch my attention recently, and it was because it was like a store that was themed around like nostalgic 1990s things. So it was like all these pop culture references, and like that caught my attention. But otherwise, nope, I'm pretty trained to be like, as soon as I see spot, I'm like, nope.
So funny too, because we're in a different age demographic, and I almost have been tempted to get off Instagram, so I quit buying things. But yeah,
Well, and
very interesting behaviors. Yeah.
Well, it is very different. And I think it's also, again, just comes down to personal preferences as well. Because like my husband has no problem finishing purchases on his phone. And we're both millennials. We both have grown up kind of in that era of having our phones attached to our fingertips at all times. If I leave my house without it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get lost. Whereas like I started driving back in like the early 2000s. Like I could definitely get around. I remember printing off directions from MapQuest.
Oh yeah, MapQuest. Yeah.
Because you didn't have anything. But now I'm like,
yeah.
I would just be completely useless without my phone. But I'm still like you, like I think if it was a brand that I had already engaged with before and they were just following up, like, we caught you taking a peek, take 20% off, scan the QR code to get back to your shopping cart. Okay, I would probably complete my purchase there. But if it's a new brand, I want to be able to do my research on my laptop.
And we'll have some more research coming out later this year, actually this summer, around how consumers are interacting with these different types of offers like coupon codes, QR codes, etc., in our State of Direct Mail Consumer Insights that comes out in July. So we'll definitely have a lot more like data points and insights around that coming soon. So stay tuned.
Maybe I should be questioned for this. Like throw all of their data completely off. They'd be like, who
I
is
don't
this
think you can
90-year-old?
be part of it because you're in this industry, but yes.
They'd be like, this lady has the consumer habits of an older person, but here she is.
I will not be offended by the older person.
But going back to your question, like, again, I'm definitely a coupon code person. Like, I love getting emails, direct mail, even offers on social media that give me a code to enter at checkout. I will copy and paste that, drop it into my notes, and I will make sure that I use that at the end instead of potentially like, scanning a QR code. I want to be able to tippy type and do my research and then paste that in at the end.
Tippy type. Okay. Love it.
So,
all right.
kind of following those trains of thought, do you think we're going to see a lot more A/B testing on those measurement methods in the coming year? Like comparing a personalized URL to a QR code or a coupon code? Because honestly, I'm a bit surprised that coupon codes did not score higher. And maybe that's just because I'm personally offended since I love using them. But I'd be curious to see if that method does get tested more. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in my own terms, because I like to make them up, as you saw how I glommed onto Phygital, I think 2023 for direct mail is like the year of optimization, right? Like optimization will rule supreme. As more companies engage with, automation, direct mail platforms, they're going to continue to test and optimize their tracking and their attribution models. And, one way, like we said, to have better tracking is these one-to-one, whether it be QR codes or barcodes, which we're already seeing some of our customers beta test with excellent results. So, you started this whole podcast with 74% of marketers, our key stat from this report, right, say that direct mail delivers their best response rate, conversion, and ROI. So if a channel's working, like you're going to go for broke with it, right? Like you're going to continue to invest in it. But as marketers, you and I, every time we have a successful piece of content, we're not like, okay, awesome, let's go to Tulum and peace out for the rest of the quarter. No, we're going to be like, what's the next best? We have to top that. We have to do an even better piece of content. And that I feel like is in every marketer's DNA, this insatiable thirst to just like go after it and do it better. And so 2023 will definitely be the year of optimization.
Cool. So you just kind of talked a little bit about that finding around ROI. Now let's focus on the I part of that, the investment. So let's talk about some key findings from the 2023 State of Direct Mail report that focus on marketing budgets. So our report showed that 58% of marketers have more marketing budget allocated to direct mail compared to 2022. Again, Kim, I ask you, does that surprise you?
Yes, absolutely. With the current economic environment, I really wasn't sure what to expect when we asked this question around marketing budgets this year. I know many of us are on round 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 of our marketing budgets, right? And it's only
Yeah.
Q1. So that's pretty impressive. And based on the response, and conversion rate and ROI stat, that 74% that we started with, it isn't necessarily surprising that people are investing more money in direct mail because, as we just said, it's working. So, like, that's kind of a no-brainer. When a channel works, you use it. Plus, on the flip side of that coin, with inflation, rising paper costs because of paper shortages from the pandemic, and then postal costs rising, we are having to spend more to get the same or better results. That's just a fact of life right now. That's kind of the reality.
No, definitely. And I think that's kind of interesting, especially as we talk more in the macroeconomic world about the return to office. A lot of people are heading back out into the world, leaving the house, where you would have thought like direct mail would have picked up as a channel back in like 2020 because everybody's home, exactly where they are. But it still proves that it's a valuable channel no matter what's happening in the world because people are still excited to get their mail. They might even want to be taking a break from a device or their screen, what have you, not being bombarded with constant digital messages, or again, flipping past those sponsored posts being like, okay, cool, but like, what else do you got for me? So
Definitely.
since we are looking at, that 58% statistic, marketers are budgeting for this channel. How much are they allocating? Kim, do you have a stat on how much budget marketers are setting aside for direct mail marketing?
So I don't have a number, obviously, because it depends. It depends. But 69%, so almost 70%, have up to 25% of their total marketing budget allocated to direct mail. 20% have 26 to 50% of their total marketing budget allocated to direct mail. And 11% have more than 50% of their overall marketing budget allocated to direct mail. So, like, I need to meet those guys because that's pretty slick. But what's going to be critical, right, when we look at this investment with a capital I, is for marketers to be able to track, measure, and attribute their efforts and prove its value. Because when it comes time to get these budgets again for next year, if you can't prove its value, you're not going to have any legs to stand on. So it has to work.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think as marketers, we're all used to having to be like, no, but like, look at all these leads this campaign and this specific channel drove. Like, please give me budget for it again next year.
100%.
All right. So we know marketers are willing to bet their budgets on the channel, but we did see that 26% of marketers cited budget constraints as one of the top direct mail challenges. The other top two, 36% of marketers said poor response rates, and 32% of marketers said bad address data. But let's tackle that budget constraints first. Kim, what would you say are 3 things that marketers should account for when creating the budget for their direct mail marketing?
Yeah. So traditionally, and I know you've written about this extensively, direct mail hasn't been the most technology forward medium, but automated direct mail is different. Automation and technology will enable you to create and ship your campaigns in days, not weeks or months. So right there, you have an immediate impact on ROI, right? Because you can produce your campaigns, get them out the door, and start generating results more quickly. You've also got an impact on time as it relates to people and bandwidth, as it will usually require less people power and definitely less manual work when you use technology and get that in your corner. And thirdly, when you have flat rate pricing, you can model out your costs and know exactly how much you're going to spend. So it's easier to forecast your costs and calculate your ROI at the end of the day. And one of the things that the report showed is that people aren't necessarily having real budget constraints. They were just more concerned with like getting that budget and then proving its value. And if they weren't using technology, it was a lot harder to prove that ROI.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also just harder in general to manage all those costs, especially if you were doing it manually. You had to work with the printer, you had to then get your postage calculated, and then, how are you getting it from the printer into the mail and managing all of that, where instead you can just do it through one technology where it just tells you, okay, this was what you paid per piece. How many pieces did you send? A little bit of math. There you go. There was your cost.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, hey, John from printer one, like, how many pieces did we do? How much was it? Oh, and then how much was posted on top of that? Oh, how much was delivered? Oh.
Yeah, more and more and more. That makes me want to take a big swig of this. Like, oh my gosh, all that manual process and people, and yeah, it's so much better and easier now.
Yeah. So listeners, if you are really interested in that conversation, Summer Hanlon, our direct mail expert in residence, she and I really went into depth on budgeting for direct mail marketing. So if you're interested, give that one a listen, mix up a beer mosa, and join us.
That was episode 7, right?
4. That was episode 4.
4. Oh.
Yep.
Good
thing I know these off the top of my head, right?
Definitely.
So going back to some of the direct mail challenges, another one, again, was that bad address data. And I think that's where our complementary software has really come in to help marketers, because we have address verification that can clean up address data, ensure mail is deliverable, and reduce that return to sender rate. So let's also address the other direct mail challenge marketers cited, poor response rates. Let's say you were a consultant, Kim, and you were asked to help a team improve their direct mail response rates. What are a few things that you would take a closer look at? Oh, Kim, you're on mute.
But funny enough, I get asked this all the time. Sorry, I see the wine's kicking in. It's actually not, but so here's my 2 cents. If you want to improve your response rate, you have to look at a few different elements. Are you sending batch campaigns? And by batch, I mean more generic, or are you sending personalized campaigns? You know, nowadays consumers really expect and want personalization. So if you're only sending batch, you're likely to see a near immediate improvement in response simply by using smart personalization tactics, like using imagery of a recently purchased items, like that, you know, quart of shampoo that you bought recently that you might be running low on, to get their attention. And then next, think about your ability, as we've talked a bit about, tracking and attributing those results. What our data told us is that the marketers aren't getting poor response rates. On the contrary, you know, we're going to keep going back to that 74% stat. You know, it's really that opposite. The data saying that marketers aren't confident in their ability to measure and track. And the root of that problem is, in our survey numbers, only 40% of the marketers that we talked to were using a technology or automation solution to help them out. So they're essentially flying blind, and that's really tough.
Yeah, and I think that is a interesting point, especially given some of the other technology that we've talked about in blogs or other ebooks, like UTM tracking. That's an easy way around that kind of problem. Build out your parameters for your campaign. And granted, that is also relying on the end customer to use that. Like, for example, I could get a postcard with a one-to-one QR code, but if I see their website or maybe their social media handles, I go that route. And yeah, you can't directly attribute that, even though that is what got me into your campaign or your marketing funnel, what have you. So
absolutely. That's why we hear, you know, when marketers are looking at these things, and they might also be using a secondary way of, like, you know, did this offer during this time frame when that offer was valid. So they have a backup plan, right?
And that's what Summer talked about on that Budgets and Beer Moses episode, just making sure that attribution window is as long as it can be, so that you're accurately reflecting the weight that that campaign carried.
Yeah, super smart.
Yep. All right. So finally, let's talk about the bigger picture in marketing, not just the direct mail channel. Direct mail isn't a siloed marketing tactic, and it's often paired with other channels. So according to our 2023 State of Direct Mail report, it shows that in an omni-channel marketing strategy, 72% of marketers said they pair direct mail with email, 46% pair it with social media, and 45% pair it with SMS or MMS. And 25% pair direct mail with a podcast, and 21% pair it with organic social. Those stats were kind of crazy to me, as these marketers are pioneers in pairing direct mail with certain channels. We have talked at length and in multiple podcast episodes about pairing direct mail and email because they just seem like such a natural fit. You know, you've got your direct and you've got your electronic version. But I am loving the insight into partnering direct mail with paid social, SMS marketing, even organic, to really make sure that customers get every touch point possible with all of your different marketing campaigns. So Kim, did any of those stats surprise you in how marketers are pairing direct mail with other online or offline channels?
I wasn't surprised actually by this one at all because of how much we talk about omni-channel marketing, how, in tune we are with our customers and seeing what they're doing and how prevalent it is, right? The email marketing example you gave. And that 7% of marketers are using direct mail as a less than 7% are using it as a standalone tactic. Didn't surprise me at all. Actually, that's up about 2% over last year. I think last year it was 5. So it's a little higher, but nothing significant, right? Still under 10%. And we know how well direct mail works in tandem with other channels. What I think is interesting is that almost half are using it with paid social, like you called out, and a quarter are using it in conjunction with podcasts, just like this one, which is quite cool. And I know we're using direct mail with this podcast. So that's really exciting.
Cool. Yeah, I think, that just goes back to, again, I'm going to repeat myself, but our repeated mantra of that direct mail marketing is not a siloed channel. Most marketers I know don't simply rely on email or social media to reach their customers. They need different touch points to, again, going back to our earlier conversation of just the different ways that we all behave and how we like to get our marketing messages and how we like to shop. You need to be able to reach those different customers on those different channels. So we have to use a variety of channels to reach our target audience where they spend their time. We cater our marketing to them and focus on giving them the best experience possible. So Kim, wasn't there a unique take on how marketers think about the customer experience with direct mail and modernizing the process of it?
Indeed, there was. So we asked that question verbatim. I'm going to read it. What do you want to modernize with existing direct mail processes? And marketers shared 14% wanted more appealing design, copywriting, and calls to action. 11% want to better integrate with their digital efforts. Another 11% want to adopt new technology. They should check out that. 9% want to increase personalization, right? 52% of consumers want personalized experiences, so that's good. Yep. And 7% want to use AI or automation. And by now, I think we've all heard ChatGPT is taking over the world, right? So maybe that AI would be good to check out. But what I think this data tells us is that marketers know direct mail works. Now they want to further improve upon it and optimize it. As I said, the year of optimization. As we shared, there's a correlation between using technology and automation and being able to do more advanced things with your direct mail, like trigger-based campaigns, integrations with your CRM and marketing automation platforms, and using data for personalization, the ability to use the one-to-one QR codes and barcodes, address and identity verification, and so much more, which actually takes care of some of those problem areas that we heard about, like bad addresses and poor response rate and budgets, right? Yeah. So it really does cover off and do those things that modern marketers are looking to do.
Yeah. I mean, like if I were surveyed for our report, I would definitely agree with all those points. An appealing design, well-written copy, and actionable CTA are so important. But that's not just for direct mail, that's for any marketing channel. Better integration is imperative for campaigns to succeed in today's market. Better personalization can make or break a campaign. If I get a postcard, it's like, hi, Joanne, like, what? Who would you think you were going to find at this address?
I got a hi first name the other day and I was like, no.
Did you really? Oh my God.
Merge problem was not sent by us.
Oh no. Oh, one of my coworkers one time like just came into the office crying because she was like, our email got sent out and like the token was missing like a closing bracket. So it was just
happened to all of us. It truly has,
and that's exactly what we told her. We're like, if I had $1 for every time like I've missed a detail like that, I'd be in the Bahamas right now. But I also really like the point, about the automation, the better tracking. I mean, I love a good Excel spreadsheet as much as the next marketer. But if my campaigns can run practically themselves and all I have to do is report out on the data and analyze it and understand what it's telling me, I'm going to be a much better marketer while I can let the AI or automation do its thing in the background. Definitely. Kim, did any of those findings stand out to you at all?
I mean, like you, I can definitely relate to the desire for better design. I mean, we're in such a, imagery ruled world right now. So like having beautiful, compelling imagery, like strikes all of us, right? Yeah. And as a content marketing director, copy, to me is clutch, right? Like having
Yep.
something that catches my attention, that stands out from all the noise. And then CTAs. And, and often we're limited by the platforms or lack thereof, or the resources or lack thereof. And I have to say, if I had to design a direct mail postcard, let's say today, with no resources or technology, trust me, it would not be pretty. My emotional support poodle down here could probably make it better than I could. So, having resources and help and simple platforms like, Lob, where we have pre-created templates that you can use and get up and running quickly, are super essential for any stage or age of a company. So, use the technology and use resources that are available to you, because it'll make life a ton easier. And then you just get to focus on the optimization.
No, I love any company that puts out templates. Like, why would I sit there spinning my wheels trying to figure out how to do this when someone else has done the work for me and I can go in, okay, I need to update my logo. I'm going to update the messaging, but at least I know, like, once this all comes together, it's still going to be a nice design.
Well, one thing our audience doesn't know about you that I'll share is you are the queen of do it yourself. Like, you could take a technology platform you've never used and like teach it to yourself in an afternoon and put out like something amazing. So yeah, kudos to you for that.
I am definitely very do it yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to send me, let me Google that for you.
Touche.
So before we close out this episode, Kim, do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share that we didn't get to today?
I mean, we've covered a lot of ground. We've had a lot of laughter and fun, but I would definitely encourage our readers to, scan this QR code, check out the state of direct mail for themselves. It covers a ton of things from a marketer's perspective. And we actually have a whole section dedicated to industry. So if you're in e-commerce or retail or insurance, healthcare, you can, a couple others, you can see stats that are just related to your industry. So it's super specific. And then I'm also now starting work on our second annual State of Direct Mail Consumers Insight. So it's all going to be from a consumer's perspective. What do they think of direct mail? Do they like it? Do they love it? What kind of offers do they act on? And that'll be coming out early summer. So I'll be super keen to jump back on the podcast if you'll have me and talk about that and share those results, because I love any kind of consumer insights and geeking out on the data. So stay tuned.
And those reports go so well together too, because it's great to see what your peers are doing in industry and how they're measuring success and the different trends that they're using. But then it really is all about the consumers. Like, marketers could be doing everything they want to, but if consumers aren't engaging with it or taking action on it, you're wasting your investment on it, essentially.
Totally. I mean, you said it in the podcast. We're doing this so that people will take action on it, right? So yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us for drinks today. As well, to our listeners, thank you for joining us for drinks and a chat about the state of direct mail. If you want to download a copy of the report, you can either scan Kim's QR code or you can do so at lobdemo.co/directmail2023. That's lobdemo.co/directmail2023. We hope you'll join us again to listen as we talk all things marketing and enjoy a mixed drink. As always, you can browse our library of episodes over at lobdemo.co/lobcast. Thanks for listening, and that's all, folks.